Welcome to Game Set Matchup, the podcast where we talk everything partnerships, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hello everyone, so I'm Carl Busby, your host of Game Set Matchup, the #1 partnerships podcast, and we are back with another episode. So today I caught up with Emily Thompson, who is head of partnerships at a company called Nous. So Nous is an intelligent money saving service that cuts bills for UK households by hundreds of pounds each year. It allows people to save money and time by managing the services, including things like energy, broadband, mobile, and your mortgage. So they essentially help find fairer deals for their members and handle all of the hassle of changing providers. Emily has a lot of experience within partnerships. She started her career in retail as a manager at Carphone Warehouse and progressed to head office and started working in the commercial team, which involved partnerships as well as managing networks and other partners. Emily then moved on to moneysupermarket.com before landing at Nous, where she's been for the last 3 years. We talk about how she transitioned from retail into a more commercial partnerships role and how her career has brought her to where she is today. Also, what a gold star partnership looks like for Nous, and also some of her tips on how to maximize everything and prepare yourself for a partnership meeting. As always, remember, you can find out more about Finder and how we are helping businesses secure discovery calls with vetted decision makers by hitting the links in the description. Enjoy this week's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Game Set Matchups. This is the podcast where we discuss all things partnerships. Maybe you are new to the partnerships world and looking for a bit of advice on how to get started, or you might be an experienced pro and just look a bit of inspirational direction. I'm your host, as always, Carl Busby, and please welcome our guest today. So we have Emily Thompson, who is head of partnerships at Nous. Hello and welcome, Emily.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. So as always, we'd like to just dive in. Our first sort of question, just to understand, get a little bit more better understanding about yourself. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind, could you just tell a little bit about who you are, your background, your sort of current role, and at Nous, and yeah, what does Nous do?
Of course, yeah. So Nous is an AI-powered household bill management service, which is available for employees of businesses to save them hundreds of pounds on their bills. I look after quite a few things at Nous, but I officially look after partnerships and commercial parts of the business. But we are a startup, so that means that you kind of have to get stuck in at every level of the business, which is great because you get really good insight from doing that. My background, so I spent several years as a retail manager at Carphone Warehouse at the beginning of my career, which was really great for sort of building lots of leadership skills and resilience and really sort of understanding customers, which I think is just something that really helps in the sort of every role you do. If you speak to thousands and thousands of customers, you can really start to sort of preempt what they might need or what they might think. And then did various head office roles with Carphone Warehouse in sort of operational and commercial areas, managing some really big partnerships there with some of the mobile networks, which is great, sort of very focused on one or two partners and, delivering absolutely the sort of optimal partnership in that scenario. And then moved to Money Saving Expert and Money Supermarket. In both places, looked after different parts of sort of partnerships and the commercial sort of channel management side of the business, and then came to Nous. And I realised, thinking about what we were going to talk about, that I've actually spent all of my career helping people save money on their bills. So that's the theme. I can sort of use those skills that I've built. So if you're any of my friends, if you ever sort of chat to me about anything, then I'll always tell you what the best deal is on anything that you have at home. So it's my sort of superpower.
No, it's amazing. I think I was just obviously really interesting when I was trying to do, especially obviously in the current climate. I mean, cost of living is a big thing for everyone in terms of the bills and stuff. So just check. So this is Nous is available for obviously employees and for I guess for bigger businesses as well, right?
Yeah, it's available to anybody. So you can come in, as anybody can come in and use Nous. At the moment, we found that the sort of partnering with businesses to help their employees save money has just been, we didn't actually intend to do that. Just loads of HR leaders started to come to us and say, we really need this for our employees. And we've built the sort of B2B side of the business from that So loads of great people like Network Rail, the AA, Monzo, got some really great partners who were helping everyone to save money.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Cool. Yeah, just obviously I know you touched obviously with the Carphone warehouse career. Obviously, previously myself worked at Carphone as well. Just interesting, like, obviously you said you came from being obviously retail manager, and then you're moving into that sort of partnership space. Do you remember, like, with partnerships, was that something you had a kind of, I don't know, interest in sort of doing, or you just naturally, it's just something that sort of naturally, organically happened, you just moved into that type of role?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it was kind of accidental. I really wanted to work in a head office environment. So I moved from a retail management role into a more operational role, and particularly in a part of the business where they needed sort of input about what was happening in the field and, how best to land stuff into retail stores. So that was a great experience. I actually did an internal competition at Carphone many years ago, and got a role in the commercial team off the back of that. It was just like a fun, like an entrepreneur thing, and it just basically sort of gave people access to different people in the business. And I didn't really even know what this part of the business did, and yes, went in that way and sort of really, really loved it. And here I am. Oh,
brilliant! That's amazing. I've never heard that answer before. In terms, quite unique in terms of doing competition. But no, that's amazing. Cool. It's just obviously talk about obviously subject of partnerships. Obviously, obviously being a startup, you're doing lots of obviously different things there. Obviously, partnerships, obviously being one of the main things. So for now, so obviously we've got a bit of a better understanding about obviously what the company does and the business do. What would you say looks like a gold star partnership for someone to for you to work with, obviously with Nous? So obviously we obviously like to ask this question, so it's just around get people to get a understanding of like what it is obviously you as a business obviously looking for from another business, and I guess obviously vice versa, because obviously with a partnership the idea is that two people always get something out of it. So just what would you say sort of like would really sort of makes gold star partnership for Nous?
Well, I think having aligned values is really important. So Nous is a B Corp. We all are very passionate about doing business in a really transparent and upfront way. Yep. And when I've come in and built the partnerships function here, I've kind of had that in mind constantly. So I want to build a sort of partnerships with people that are mutually beneficial to everybody. So, really transparent with people, very sort of open to understanding how another business is going to get value from Nous, because in turn we need to get good value from them, because ultimately we want to build great propositions for our customers, and we do build great propositions based on the value that our customers bring. So it's just really important that people can align in that way. We recommend specific providers. So we don't recommend every provider. We're very picky about who we tell people to switch to. It's really important they have great service, that they comply with lots of our sort of additional requirements that we have for helping Nous customers. So that's very important to us. So so we are just really quite sort of picky in terms of who we might work with to make sure that they are the best that we can get for our customers.
No, that's really good. I mean, obviously a lot of people we talk to, obviously values is one that always, that comes up, but it is a key thing, right? If you start, with a company and then you obviously find out later down the line, obviously certain things, obviously it doesn't look obviously good for, obviously sales business, and then obviously the customers.
That's so true. But it's really important for us, I think, when you're having worked in a big business where people come to you, and the partnerships bit is kind of easy because people want to work with you because they know your reputation. If you work for a startup, you've got to be absolutely on it in every sense. So I think our reputation as a partnerships team is as important as everything else that we're doing. So delivering what we said we would, and helping people to get the best that they can out of a partnership with Nous.
No, that's amazing. And then obviously again, going on the same subject, I mean, I know you obviously touched on a couple of things that was around the values and stuff. I mean, like you said, you obviously be a bit picky in terms, obviously, when you're making sure that you pick the right companies. Is there any particular sort of traits that you do look for a business when you start having a conversation with a particular partner or a business, that you sort of look for initially, before obviously wanting to partner with them? Anything specific?
Well, I think we kind of, when I think about partnerships, so we have, I guess, two ways that we have partnerships at Nous, two sort of separate segments, so to speak. So we have all the partnerships with utility providers and mortgage brokers and people that will help you to save money, effectively bring us the propositions to help people to switch. And then we have all of our partnerships with HR teams. So, in that sense, you kind of need slightly different values. So we're looking for, from a utility provider perspective, we're looking for, the best quality, the best value for customers. So that's super important. And as I say, being aligned on those goals.
Yeah.
From a HR team perspective, we find people who genuinely want to make their employees, make a difference for their employees and help them to save, and are sort of aligned in that sense. And it's that part is actually easier because it's a bit of a no-brainer. Like, of course, you're going to want to help your employees. Like, our Nous as an employee benefit is not it's not something that only some people can get. I don't know. There's some great schemes out there, and they all suit some people. Like electric cars, bikes, all those kind of things are fantastic, but they suit people that need those things. Whereas with Nous, we have a proposition that suits everybody, and it works at the household level. So if you are taking it, Carl, as yourself, your whole household would benefit. It's a bit of a no-brainer for people because everybody can save money when they're in the same household.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. Sounds like an absolute no-brainer. I don't think anyone is going to argue or have an issue with saving money, especially, like I said, in the current climate. Cool. Just moving on. It's really interesting to know. So obviously, at Find, we're all about helping business and get that first discovery call with another business, and speaking to a decision maker in the business. Obviously, for a lot of businesses, it's got different ways of different tools of trying to find, business. Obviously, you said, you've already got some really good partners in terms of the companies and stuff. But sort of how are you going about, or if at all, in terms of looking for new partnerships or new business? Is there anything specific that you guys are doing? Any tools, or how are you actually just going about trying to get new business?
Well, we do a few different things. We have quite a good network. So you start with what people don't you? I've had the benefit of doing this from the beginning. So you always start with like your close ties, and then who within the business knows somebody who can sort of build this up with, and then personal recommendation from those people. So obviously your customers who've had a great experience are always the best people to be recommending you to others. But we do use sales tools as well. So we use a lot of sort of different software to help us to reach new leads, cold leads that we might not have access to. Quite a range of things. But I think the one thing that's really important is that you can get to a decision maker in an organization, or if it's not a decision maker, it needs to be somebody who's really good at their job and can champion you internally to get something over the line. No, absolutely. I think again, that's obviously we're make a big point around, like I said, being someone who's actually a decision maker or can help, because obviously a lot of companies, or the companies out there, they're huge, lots of staff, and you can spend a lot of time talking to someone, and they're not the right person, or they pretend they are the right person, but obviously you find later on then they can't actually help, sort of thing. So it's really, really key to make sure you're talking to the right person. That leads on to our next question. So do you have any sort of advice, maybe sort of you say younger self sort of starting out, but obviously going back, you talked about your sort of career moving from from Carphone into obviously that sort of partnership space, and then obviously where you are today. Is there anything you'd sort of look back at and say, what, a big learning here, or things, something that you may be something you do differently now to what you did before? Just always, listeners are interesting to know things that tips they can pick up on, that like I said, maybe they can avoid these potential pitfalls or anything. Any sort of advice on that? Yeah, I mean, I've the benefit of having done this for quite a long time, and you kind of reflect back and think, oh, there's so much I would have done differently. I think having I think the number one thing for me would be to really understand your numbers and not to be scared of understanding them. So, having worked in a retail environment where your reports and things are just made for you, so you understand the numbers, but you don't necessarily have to do the analysis and, really get into the bones of like Excel or, whatever else other analysis tool you're going to use. So for the first few years of my career, I was quite happy for somebody else to do that for me and to just look at the results. And it was only when you're forced to really get into the bones of it. And, bearing in mind, I'd say I didn't really like maths at school. So it wasn't really my, something I really jumped up and down to do. But just knowing how to do that stuff yourself, and there's really no excuse now in the days of like Google, ChatGPT. Like we can all learn this stuff, YouTube. Like we can all learn this stuff, and it just helps you to be so much sharper, so much like better informed. It just helps you to build partnerships in the right way. You don't need to be reliant on other people to do this stuff for you, and it will help you progress more because you can really show a grasp of your business. And just simple things like, in a negotiation, you need to know quickly whether something that is being proposed is a load of nonsense or whether it's actually could work. So just to, even sort of before you go into a negotiation, just thinking about what your range is of numbers and, what you are prepared to give on, because as soon as you have to go away and think about something, then you just kind of lose that momentum. I say, first one's numbers. The second one is learning how to bring people with you. Partnerships, it may not, depending on your business, you may not be the number one most important thing to that business. So if you're not, you're going to have to become really, really good at communicating why something needs to happen and then making it easy for people to deliver it who are around you. So my tips there would be, if you need to bring decision makers into a room to think about something, or, you need to have some kind of review point of your, of what you want to do, is just have the data ready, make a recommendation, do all of the thinking and say to people, this is what I recommend and this is why. Don't leave it open-ended for somebody else to make that call for you. You've got to say, no, we should do this because of this. And I understand this decision because I know all these different things that are happening in the business, and, you can sell in your case there. And I think the same goes for trying, so that's internally influencing people, but you've also got to think about how you can make your opposite person in a partnership also be able to do that. So, they may just go and do that naturally, but they may need some help, so you may need to give them some numbers. You may need to write a briefing for their lawyer. You may need to do lots of things. And it's just thinking ahead. Okay, when I want to land this partnership, what are the things that are going to come down the line that I know that somebody's going to need to make a decision on, or somebody's going to be potentially an enabler or a blocker, and just arming your contact with everything that they need so that they look good and can get this through quickly.
Yeah, no, I really like that. As I said, I think, obviously great tips there. I think overarching thing there is around, again, it's preparation, being obviously prepared when you do go into a meeting, because like you said, it can be the difference, I guess, between that first impression, people seeing you, and between the conversation going further and not, if you're not obviously like fully prepared. And like you said, we've got so many tools, so much stuff now. Like I said, it always helps if being able to understand how the data's got there in the first place, rather, like you said, than just grabbing it from someone, which obviously is handy. Let's not like that. It's a nice thing to have. But that said, there's some really, really good tips there. So just on our final question was, we like to ask guests that come on. Obviously, you've been in partnerships game for obviously quite a long time now. So I think you may have seen quite a lot of different ways of working, the tools and different types of things that have been used, through your sort of career. Obviously to where we are today. But what do you think the sort of future holds for business when it comes to creating partnerships? So I mean, like I said, it could just be kind of in general, or do you think that there are any sort of bigger changes or things that going to advance the way that partnerships are sort of dealt or worked out?
Yeah, I think the pace of change in the last few years is just seems that there's so much happening and so many tools and so many different things that are around that can sort of enhance your, the way that you do things. I mean, obviously, the big buzz at the moment is around AI, and there's loads of stuff happening around, AI to help partnerships. It can be quite funny when it's, if you ever get one of those sales emails, which has blatantly been written by AI, then that's sort of the not great so side of it. No. But it's really interesting. I mean, we are really leaning into AI from the perspective of helping people to manage their household bills. So we see huge power in it. We want AI to do the boring stuff that we don't want to do ourselves. Let's get AI to manage our household bills, because then we can go and do the fun stuff like, going out with our friends, hanging out with our family. We don't want to be thinking about this stuff. Yeah. So we've really sort of lent into it here from a customer perspective. And that's really building some great results. It's just, this is what we should be doing. We should be using AI in a way that does, I want like AI to come and hoover my floors or clean my kitchen. I don't want them to, you see these things all the time, don't you? Of creative people saying, I don't want AI to be creating these like nice pictures and words and stuff. I want them to do all the boring stuff. So that's how we see it. We using AI at Nous to build out better customer experiences and build out more efficient ways of managing your bills.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think obviously AI is obviously a big subject, always comes up, but I mean even more so now because, like you said, that now obviously using a lot of that technology, and I totally agree. I mean, I think it's going to be a big part of the future. I think obviously everyone's got slightly different opinions on how it's obviously going to use, like you said, getting emails. You can even get calls now from people, which are essentially AI calls, which I think again obviously there's the pros and the cons from obviously having that sort of technology. But I think fingers crossed, like I said, most people are using it for the good, and like you said, ultimately it's going to be helping people and customers moving forward.
I think I'd add to it as well that you can for us as partnerships professionals, it's not going to replace what we do, because you always need that human touch, and you need to build great partnerships with people. So it's always going to be people first. Yeah. But if you can use it to automate some of your processes, or anything that just helps to make your job more efficient, business is people, isn't it? And it's never going to replace that.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good point to end on there, is that like I said, we're going to need all the human for that relationship side of things, kind of partnership, because it's one of the key parts in terms of building that rapport, and obviously driving stuff forward. So like I said, that is always going to be the case. Listen, I've thoroughly enjoyed catching up with you. It's been really good to find out a lot more about obviously Nous and obviously your experiences. I said again, really appreciate you coming on the Finder podcast, and just good luck with everything at Nous.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining this week's Game Set Matchup. Tune in to hear more about the need to knows and the do's and don'ts when it comes to creating successful business partnerships.